Morning. Happy Tuesday. Um, the guys are here working on the roof, but it doesn't seem too loud, so I think it'll be all right. They're in the other side of the house. So, good morning, Dora. Um, so that's okay. What are we going to talk about today? I think today we're going to talk about alignment. Um, so, um, alignment. And, we'll talk a little bit about this in the actual in asana, right? So we can focus on our alignment. And that's a good focus during practice, right? So trying to be aware of where your arms and legs are and what I think of them sort of as like touchstones in your practice. So, um, you know, in this pose, your knees kind of here, or your feet are in this position. Um, and there are some very common um, positions, like, so like the foot position that we have in Warrior One is, we work that Warrior Two, and there's a few others that, we're having that same, basic foot and leg position. So, um, it's a good idea to kind of check in with that periodically just to make sure that you are on track with it. Um, Morning, Sue and Deb. Um, that's um, because it is easy to kind of slip, out of alignment with stuff. And um, as we are going through the practice and we're doing these poses over and over, you build this kind of muscle memory. So you want your alignment to be pretty good, so that you're getting um, you're giving yourself like a good feedback, right? If you're in an incorrect position, then your body um, is going to hold that position, right? So you want to make sure that you are correct. But that being said, there is a wide range of what is correct, right? Um, the first correct is, are you uncomfortable or in pain, right? If you are, that's not correct. Doesn't matter how much like the picture it looks, or the book, or the video. That's not right. That's not right for you. Um, and then again, like, we look at pictures or we watch other people do the pose. Sometimes our body is not going to make those shapes. Either our strength or our flexibility is not what that person's is, or there's simply something about our structure, body structure, that is different. I had always been told that when you were doing forward folds, you could have your feet straight ahead, or you could bring the heels out, toes in, and that for some people would be more stable. Um, but then I met a person that couldn't do this. Like, it just didn't work for them. So they kind of bring their toes out a little bit. So every kind of alignment rule I've ever learned, there are exceptions to that rule. And that's probably true of almost everything in life, right? There are always some exceptions. Um, Never let the rules um, overpower your common sense when it comes to your body. Um, if it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. So figure out how you need to adapt it to make it work for you. Um, That's probably the most important rule of alignment, right? And then in yoga, we speak, of course, because nothing is as simple as just asana, right? Or um, the uh, um, the first layer, right? Alignment goes much deeper than that. And we speak in yoga a lot about this idea of being in alignment with our values and our beliefs. So when we are not in alignment, um, we are just as in asana, you could end up getting hurt. The same way we are doing damage in our own personal life, right? So when we are saying one thing in public and doing something else in private, we are not in alignment. Um, when we pretend to be something that we are not, we're not in alignment. When we believe one thing, but we are forced to act in a different way or choose to act in a different way, we're not in alignment. Um, so there is the belief in Ayurveda. So I've talked about Ayurveda before. This idea of this traditional Indian medicine that is very much a link between mind and body and spirit. That nothing happens in isolation. So disease begins in the mind, right? It begins in an imbalance in the mind that makes you susceptible to whatever illness might be coming around. Or, again, we kind of create the environment in our body for illness to grow. That's not to say we cause the illness. We don't. It's definitely not a conscious thing that happens. Um, but one way we can avoid those sort of conflicts is to get ourselves in alignment, right? So when you are not um, living by your beliefs, you're you're gonna feel it, right? It's gonna come out one way or another. It could damage you mentally, physically. I mean, there are things that can happen from that. So we don't want to do that, right? And there's no reason to do that. If you can get those things in alignment, you're going to be a happier person. You're going to um, be able to live more honestly. And it's so much easier, right? People who don't have things in alignment spend a lot of their life trying to remember what story they told to which person. And inevitably, getting it wrong and having to clean up their messes and problems and things down the line. So, um, living in alignment is just simpler and easier. It might seem hard at first, right? To get that, but once you can get it all straight, it will really change your life. So we want um, our body, our mind, our beliefs, our thoughts, and our words and actions, everything to be in alignment. Um, Walking the talk, right? It's if you don't feel like that is how you're living your life right now, um, take a few steps towards that. Don't feel like you have to go crazy and change everything all at once. But it can be one step at a time, one day at a time, right? What could I do today that would bring me more in line with what I want to do. Um, and it can be big things, right? It could be very big things like, I don't know, how you are getting along with your family or, close friends, being open about who you are. It could be something small, like if you really believe, um, that you don't want to harm animals, moving to a more vegetarian lifestyle, or um, if you really believe strongly in the idea of, fair trade, so that we aren't buying things from a third world country where people are being exploited, you can shift your purchasing to simply things that support that. We have this ability to make choices in our life and to put our money and our actions in directions that we believe in. Um, and it it's easier now than ever because everyone is so much more aware of this stuff that you can actually find these things out. Where does, if I'm investing in this company, what is this company about? If, um, there things are much more transparent. So we can know sort of the consequences of our actions. That being said, don't go crazy with this because people literally get to the point where they won't do anything because they're afraid that what they do is going to change something, or they're going to do something without knowing it, right? And make a mistake. So, what we talk about in yoga all the time is that your intention is everything, right? So, if your intention is to do this certain thing and to do a good thing in this way, you pursue it to the extent that you can. Right? We can never, frequently, we never really know what the end result of our actions are. Um, we might give money to a charity only to find out that it was a scam and they took all your money and ran away. Well, who's at fault there? Is it you for giving and being kind and helpful, or is it for this person who's taking advantage, right? Clearly it's their fault. But we're the ones that end up feeling bad about it, right? They're never going to feel bad. But there's no reason to feel bad. Our intention was good. We did the act, and then we let it go. We don't beat ourselves up if it doesn't turn out the way we want it to. So that's part of non-attachment, right? Don't be attached to the outcome. Just be do the action. Take some action, whatever that might be, and don't get immobilized by your worry that it won't turn out right. Um, I just saw a quote, of course, and I can never remember these quotes, but I think it was a Maya Angelou quote, and I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it was something in the form of if you are in alignment, right? So you got your head on straight here. You know where you're going. Your intentions are this. The actions take care of themselves, right? When you are on that path, every step it's kind of there for you. Now you might fall down or trip, but um, you're going to stay within the confines of that path. So keeping that alignment in your head is the main thing. Then our actions kind of grow from that. So, alignment. Um, you can see how there's so many other things that go into this, right? We could talk about there's non-attachment, there's satya, right? Being truthful, being who you are, and right, who you are is who you are. So if you don't care about some of these things, that's okay too. Like, I'm not saying that you have to become a vegetarian or give to um, virtuous causes or whatever. I mean, if that's not what sets your interest on fire, then don't do that. What does? What are you passionate about? What causes um, really make you, maybe it's working with children. Maybe it's, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's got something that really resonates with them. You don't have to do everything, but do something. All of us can do something to try to improve our life of the people around us. That's our job, right? That's what we're here for, to be part of this global community, universal community. So don't feel burdened by doing it all. Don't think you have to have it all figured out. Um, but be truthful, you know, find what is important to you. And then you will feel like you're living in alignment, right? You're not pretending to care about something that really isn't that important to you. And it's okay. Not everything has to be important to you. It can't be. We don't have enough time or attention for everything to be important. So use your energy where it will be appreciated, and you'll feel good about that. All right. So alignment. Um, let's look at that a little with the asana that we do today, working a little on the alignment. Um, it's kind of weird. So I've never done yoga in front of mirrors. That's something that some studios do, and I've certainly heard of people doing it, but I've never really done it myself. So this was new to me, was doing this and being able to see myself. And it's actually kind of good because I can see myself on the camera here, so I can kind of check my alignment. But it's also a little distracting. So if I seem like I'm looking here and I look like I'm a little confused, it may be because I'm trying to check my alignment in the camera here. So it's more or less good. But yeah, as you're going through the asana, don't, if you need to stop and you want to take a look at where you are, look behind, look at your arms, look at your feet. Take the time to do that. You don't have to keep that focus all the time straight ahead. You can also focus on where things are in the body. Okay. So sitting up nice and tall, that's one thing we can always pretty much say with yoga is whatever pose we're in, we're sitting up tall. We're pulling the shoulders back. There's like never any hunching forward in yoga. No slouching. Never, never, ever. So that's the first alignment. We'll always be straight up and down. If we're ever vertical, we're always shoulders over hips, right? Unless you're kind of stretching, but even then we're pretty upright. Shoulders over hips. Keep that breath moving. And then lower the chin, let the head hang. And then lift. Keep lifting the chin, head drops back. Head to center. Lowering over to the right. Back to center and moving left. Just kind of loosening up a little. And then back up to center. Lean forward, moving around. one way and the other. Back up to your seat, arms wide. Deep breath in, exhale, hands together. Inhale, arms are wide, exhale, hands together. Inhale wide, exhale together. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gaze up, and then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift, and lower, lift, and lower. Once more, lifting up, we'll bring the right arm down, reach across with the left. And then switch. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Tabletop. So from here, we're going to just move through cat-cow, lowering the belly, lifting up the head. Inhale, exhale, press down. Finish up, back, tabletop, then sitting on the heels for child's pose. Come on back up. Tabletop to downward dog. So downward dog, you've got your feet maybe hip width apart, so not super wide. Same thing with the hands, right? We don't want to be really wide with the hands. We want to be about shoulder width. So your arms are kind of straight. This is the most, kind of the strongest way to be. The wider your arms are, their hands rather, kind of the less strong the shoulder area is. We're kind of extending, right? So it's a very neutral position when you have the feet just slightly apart and the hands not too wide. You feel like your things are straight up and down. We're not trying to hold ourselves up here. We're just naturally letting the arms extend and legs extend. And then we're walking up, feet to the hands. And again, just kind of hanging out here. You might have a bend if you've got a lot of tightness in the hamstrings. Right? This definitely is a pose where everybody's going to look different, right? Some people are going to be really straight. Some people are going to have a bend. Be somewhere in between. And then we're rising up slowly. Standing tall. So we've got this long line. Up, through the crown of the head. Think about everything being in line. We're not leaning forward. We're drawing the shoulders back. And we've got a little space between the feet. So if we're standing like this, we're a little tippy, right? We want to have a natural sort of space between the feet so we feel very supported. If you think about where are your hips, right? Coming up the bones of the legs, the hips are like right around here. So that's about where you want your feet to be, right? Supporting yourself, supporting that skeleton inside. Take a breath. So we're drawing that strength up the legs, engaging maybe the thighs, coming up through the core of the body. Maybe lift the shoulders, roll back. So mounting can be a very active pose, right? We can really engage through the legs, the core, the shoulders, the arms, if we want to. Inhale, we're lifting the arms high. Right? So arms right up over the head. You can't really, well, you can pretty much see. So we don't want to be here, and we don't want to be here. We're not leaning way back. We're trying to stay up nice and straight. Exhale, we're folding forward. Right? We might be bending the knees to get down here. That's okay. Inhale, we're coming up to a flat back. So this is a source of confusion sometimes, I think, for people, this idea of flat back. But if you see, so we're not rounding forward, right? We might round forward a little to get down here, but then when we're coming up halfway, we're lifting, but we're also pulling the shoulders back, so we lengthen out through the spine. That draws in the torso, the abs here. We're extending out. So it's like we're peeking out over a cliff. We're really extending even the neck. And then relax it. So we're going to do that a couple of times just to get a feel for it. Inhale, extending. And exhale, just relaxing. But the other thing about flat back is we're engaging this core, right? So with all of the lifts, flat back, lifting all the way up, we want to use the core, the leg strength, but also the core. So we're engaging from the legs all the way up. This takes it out of your back so that we aren't using the back to lift us up all the time we're doing these folds. We're using this front area equally. I mean, it probably won't be equal, but we're working on both so that we don't tire the back out with all the folds. We got both. Both things are working together. And flat back is really just a kind of a, like just an extra step, we're working more on this core. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lifting up to a flat back. Extending out. And relax. So a lot of times this flat back is sort of, we skip this. Like we're kind of like, flat back, lift a little. Don't skip it. Do it. If you're, and sometimes you're moving slower than I am or than the class is, don't worry about that. Just take the time. You know where we're going. You know how to do this. We've done this before a bunch of times. So take the time to lift and lower. Right? Make this at your own pace. Don't feel like you have to rush to catch up with anybody. So we're folding over here. We're going to lift to a flat back. Fold. And then let's use that strength in the legs, the core. Engage here and lift. Back to mountain. Take a breath. So you can feel the difference when you're using the whole body to lift you up. It's not achy here. You're not like, oh, my back. You'll feel you're actually using so much more of your body to make this happen. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're going to step back to downward dog. So this is something I do. And I've had, I've learned it various places. But typically speaking, when you're doing a yoga class, you're not going to see people do this too much. What they do a lot is stepping back to high plank, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think it's harder to get in alignment, right? So when you're trying to step back to high plank, you're all of a sudden, you're putting a lot of stuff on the shoulders, a lot of stuff, and you're expecting yourself to kind of get it right the first time. When you have this preliminary step, coming back to downward dog, you get a chance to kind of adjust your hands and feet, get everything set up here, and then we're moving forward to high plank. So high plank, you always want to have shoulders right over the hands. Right? So if you feel like you're here, you want to come forward. Maybe you got to walk the feet up a little bit. And you can always drop the knees. Right? Sometimes it's hard to just hold that. But you're still getting a good workout with the shoulders, even with the knees down. Let's just sit back. Child's pose here for a minute. And let's talk about child's pose. So, hands out in front. This is what we consider active child's pose. Arms are extended, elbows are lifted. Another kind of traditional way to do child's pose would be hands by your side, palms up. And then sometimes you might have hands in front, stack the fists, rest your forehead. Kind of this sort of non-traditional, but we do it. We still do it. And then with child's pose, we might have knees together. We might have knees apart. So it's just a different style of doing it. Does different things. Not one is better than the other. You might find one is more accessible to you than the other, just because of your body geometry. If you find that to be true, I would say at least try the other one from time to time, just to see if it becomes easier as you move through. Sometimes we'll find that working on other poses kind of opens up some different poses that you didn't think you'd ever do or that it would help with. And then we'll move back up. So we were in plank and then lowering down. So I always drop the knees and lower down. Keep the elbows in close to the body. So you can, if Chaturanga is in your practice, Chaturanga is low plank. So you go from high plank down to low plank where you're lifted up. And I'm not going to do that because of my shoulder, but it's hard to do that. It requires a lot of shoulder strength and everything positioned in the right place. I would say it's hard to do that well. Most people that I see doing Chaturanga are, they're not quite, their alignment isn't real good. And when your alignment isn't good, you end up damaging your shoulder like I did. So I wouldn't recommend it. Dropping your knees is always an option. If you have a lot of shoulder strength, core strength, and you want to learn to do Chaturanga, there are lots of resources online to learn how to do it. I don't teach it because I feel like people end up trying it when they aren't really ready because of ego, because they want to look a certain way, because they think it makes them more fit, and then they will hurt themselves. And so that's something I think that people need to develop on their own. If you feel like you're ready for it, there are lots of resources, and I can point you towards some resources online to learn how to do it. But just know it's not necessary. It's part of our sort of Western vinyasa practice, but it isn't really, aside from strict Ashtanga, most of the yoga that you're going to see in India is much more traditional, and that's not part of it. So let's go through our sun salutation, which is a fairly traditional sun salutation, although we've changed one part of it, and I'm going to show you what that is. So we're up at the top. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're stepping back with the right foot. Drop the knee. So traditionally, you might stay right here. You might press the hands down, kind of stretch forward, gazing up. In our, the ones we do usually in class, I lift because I like that. I think it feels open. And it gives you another opportunity to stretch the arms. And then we come down. So in a traditional sun salutation, we're going to step back. Downward dog, and then we're going to kind of drop the knees. And they do something called knees, chest, chin. So knees and chest and chin are on the floor, which looks kind of weird. But here we are. And then we lower down. From here, we might come up, upward dog. And then moving back, downward dog. And we always hold this downward dog for a few breaths. One more breath. And then we're stepping, right foot up, left knee down. We would maybe traditionally just stay here, but I like to lift the arms. Hands down to the mat, step the back foot up, and fold. We'll do the other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the arms. Back to mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we're stepping back with the left. Drop the knee. We might stay here, or then lift the arms. Hands to the mat, moving back. Downward dog. And then we're dropping knees, chest, chin. Moving down, coming up. And then back, downward dog. One more breath. And then we're going to step that left foot up. Drop the knee. Maybe staying here or lifting the arms. And then hands down to the mat. Back foot steps up. Fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lifting the arms. And back to mountain. Take a breath. So you'll see in sort of this traditional form of sun salutations. So they're called Surya Namaskar, which Namaskar is sort of the formal version of Namaste. So it's like we're greeting the sun. And you'll see that in that more traditional form, we're lowering down knees, chest, chin. We're not doing the Chaturanga. So it is completely optional. You don't have to feel like you're missing something if you're not doing that. And then we'll do kind of some warriors just to work, to see how our alignment is on that. So inhale, lift, arms high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're going to step back with the left. So there's, multiple ways to get into this. You can step back with the left. You could also step up with the right from downward dog or something like that. However you're going to get there, we're going to have this right knee bent. Left leg is back. And you're going to see the foot is sort of at a 45-degree angle. Right? You're not pointing that foot straight ahead. And if you want to see why, try it. See what happens. The knee feels very compromised like this. And it just feels odd. You don't feel as stable. All you got to do is rotate that foot out a little, and it changes how this whole pose feels. You feel much more steady. That knee is more stable. We've got the right knee bent. We want to have this knee about over the foot, right? So you don't want to be back here, but you also don't want to be up here, right? Both of which are not very stable. This is the most stable, right? Straight up and down. Also, we don't want the knee to be out to the side. Oh, you're not going to be able to see that, right? So we don't want the knee out here or in here. We want it straight, right? Over top of the foot. So we build the poses from the bottom, right? We have this all set, and then we worry about all the stuff up here. So we got that. We got the knee where it's supposed to be. Hips facing the front. Shoulders over the hips. Arms reach. So the intensity in this pose might come in how far your step is, right? So you could move further if you want to be deeper. If you don't want as much, just step up a little, right? Then we won't be bending as deep. Pose will be the same, just a bit less extended. Okay? And my mat is moving everywhere today. All right, so there's your warrior one. Arms overhead. From here, we move to warrior two. Legs stay the same, but we're turning the torso. Extending the right arm out, left arm behind. Shoulders not up here, shoulders low. Look back, see what's happening with that arm. It should be in line with the shoulder, not up here or here, side, whatever. Trying to get it all in line. See, now I'm looking at myself and I'm out here. Aha, that's better. And then just bring the hands down. Let's switch. So we're just going to switch and do it on the other side. So we've got the feet basically in the same position. We're just turning. So left knee bent, right foot is at an angle. Got that knee right over the foot. Warrior one, then moving to warrior two. Check your alignment with everything. And then just release it down. Turn the foot. We'll do a fold here. So with the fold, we talked about this earlier, feet wherever you want them to be, maybe straight ahead, maybe in, maybe not. See what works for you. Take a deep breath. And then lean forward. So the alignment here is everything toward the front. Your heels might actually be kind of light here. You might lift them a little bit, right? Getting that weight in the front part of the feet. And you'll feel the difference. So just put the weight into the heels for a moment. See how that feels, and then change. When you have the weight in the heels, you can feel very, very little is happening, right? It's a very neutral. We're just kind of hanging out here. But as we shift, we can feel that. We start feeling the stretch. And then we're going to bring the hands back to the waist. Engage the thighs. So use that strength in the legs. Lift all the way up, right through the core. Take a breath. And then let's walk the feet in. And we're going to do a squat. We'll work on the alignment for this. So you may only be coming down halfway with this. And that's fine. If you are, we're about hip width apart, or shoulder width rather, with the feet. Maybe facing straight ahead, maybe out to the side a little bit. See what works. We're lowering down. If you are only halfway, then don't worry about it. Stay as upright as you can. You might have flat feet. You might be on the toes to get down. Either one. If you are down here, we're trying to be as upright as possible. So if you're leaning way forward, see if you can come back. Elbows to the inside of the knees. And just as upright as you can be here. Moving back up. Take a breath. All right, so we did a lot of things like that today. So how about you just get on the mat and lay down for Shavasana? Do you feel like you worked hard doing all this? I think we did. So it takes some time and some effort to break down the poses and to do them a little more slowly and mindfully instead of just moving. So just rest on the mat, however is comfortable. If you want to do a little twisting or whatever it is to kind of get yourself settled, feel free to do it. So just like taking time, working through the asana, really concentrating on what we're doing and how we're doing it takes effort, right? So does this in your everyday life. Right? Take some time. Notice what you do and ask yourself why. Why am I doing this way? Do I do things because they're easy that way? Do I do things because someone else told me to do them that way? Or do I do things because they make me feel good? because they are what I need. Just like we need to adapt our poses to fit our body and our state of fitness and strength, we need to do the same with the rest of our life. What works for someone else may not work for you. You might need to adapt. There's no shame in this. There's no fault in this. This is being smart. Right? This is knowing yourself and what you need. What I love, you're probably tired of hearing me say what I love about yoga, but I'm going to tell you one more thing I love about yoga is that it takes what it gives you on a micro scale. So the lessons we learn from asana, from doing these poses in the body, move through the body to the rest of our life. So all of those same lessons apply. What you read, what you see, what others tell you may not be just right for you. They may be good ideas, but you need to make them your own. Adapt them. Change them where they need to be changed. Trust yourself. Trust that inner intelligence. We are so quick to discount our own feelings in favor of some expert. But the only expert about you is you. So there is a Gandhi quote. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And if you think about it, there is no way that is not the truth. If one of those things is out of alignment, you're gonna have a struggle. um, so those are pretty simple. It's a pretty simple guide, right? Follow that, and you're going to have a peace of mind and a level of ease in your life um, that you know we call happiness, right? Beginning to move, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Moving up to a seat when you're ready. We'll bring hands together. Breath in and breath out. Thank you for taking some time this morning for yoga and for sharing with me here. I hope that you have a really great Tuesday. Namaste. Thank you. I keep thinking one of these days I'm going to say the wrong day, and I'm sure that I will. But today I got it right. It is Tuesday. So enjoy your day. See if you can find somewhere today to do something that is in alignment with your beliefs and goals. It can be just little baby steps till we get there. And if everything isn't in alignment right now, don't worry about it. Again, we talk about this intention. Getting the intention to get there is what will get you there. Much more so than, fretting, right? It's not 100%. It's not all or nothing. Like so many things in our culture seem to be all or nothing, right? And if we don't get it all right, well, then why bother? Just forget it. Just, I ate one cookie today, so I'm just going to eat the whole bag, right? And then tomorrow I'll starve, right? So think about not doing that. Think about eating one cookie and then tomorrow having one more. And take baby steps, beginner steps. Always keeping that intention in mind, and you will get there. All right. So I don't know how long the roof guys will be here. Maybe a couple more days. But it's pretty quiet, so I think we'll be good, unless something unusual happens. The dumpster is right out in front of here, so I guess that could potentially be something, but I'll let you know. I don't know what I'll do. I was trying to think about that. If I decide to cancel a class, I'm not really sure how I'm going to handle that. I guess I could probably send an email out, but I could also put a video up here and that'll say, so I usually try to have a scheduled class. And so if for some reason I do have to cancel, I'll probably redo that video and just tell you that it's canceled. But I don't see any reason why I have to do that. So, all right. Have a good day. Stay cool. Feels pretty hot out there.